Formed and developed for more than 2 centuries, Thuan Hung Rice Paper Craft Village is located in Thuận Hung district, about 40 kilometers from Kintho city center, and is an interesting place for tourists when they set foot in Tay Du. Coming here, visitors can not only enjoy the rustic cakes, but also make them themselves, and share the secrets and hard work of the people who keep the fire of the village alive. Entering Thuan Hung Rice Paper Village, visitors can smell the fragrant smell of flour, coconut, and smoke. On both sides of the road to the village are rows of rice paper dried in rows like white silk, winding along the incredibly beautiful roads. Talking about the formation process of Thuan Hung Rice Paper Craft Village, no one knows exactly when this profession began, only knowing that it has been passed down from generation to generation for nearly 200 years. Currently, the entire Thuan Hung Craft Village has more than 100 households making rice paper. Concentrated in 9/9 hamlets of Thuan Hung Ward, but mainly concentrated in Tan Loi 3 hamlet, Tan Phu and Tan Ton. The reason why Thuan Hung rice paper is so popular is because the people have their own secret in the flour mixing stage, using only rice flour. The rice is produced in the Thuận Hung region. The harvested rice is left for 6 months before making. Because the rice is too new, the rice paper will fall apart when dipped in water and will not be crispy when baked, if the rice is too old. The baked rice will be spongy but will not retain its sweetness. Careful selection of input materials like this makes the rice paper have a very characteristic strong fragrant rice smell, soft, smooth, and fragrant. After that, the rice is soaked and ground into flour. The sour water is filtered out and the flour is mixed with water to the right level, not too thin or too thick. Add a little salt, the flavor of the rice paper will be richer. Making a rice paper is like creating a work of art, requiring the craftsman to be very skillful. The amount of flour to make a cake must also be standard and measured with a small ladle. A ladle of flour water is equivalent to a finished cake. The rice flour is poured onto a mosquito net stretched over a pot. The flour is spread out with a tray and must be spread quickly, evenly, round, and just the right size for the drying rack. The process of spreading the cake is also very elaborate. The fire must only be kept low. Spreading the cake must be fast and even so that the cake will be round, thin, and when taking the cake, it will not be crushed. The cake is steamed with steam, about 10 to 15 seconds to cook. When taking the cake, it is extremely difficult, requiring smooth coordination between the person spreading the cake and the person taking the cake. Because at this time the cake is thin, wet, very easy to roll up or tear. At that time the person taking the cake must be very gentle, one hand holding the tube to take the cake, the other hand carefully lifting the cake and placing it on the rack. In addition, the rice paper making profession is very dependent on the weather. The cake spreader must see if it is sunny or rainy tomorrow to spread the cake early, then dry the cake as soon as the sun rises. Drying and removing the rice paper is not an easy task. The person drying the rice paper must know how to watch the sun to remove it at the right time to have an intact, unwarped rice paper. If the sun is nice, it only takes about 30 minutes to dry the rice paper. If it is too dry, the rice paper will break. The dried rice paper is taken out of the tray and arranged neatly into sections. Each section containing 50 or 100 rice papers depending on the customer's request. To meet the market demand, rice paper is made here all year round, but the peak season is during Tet. Almost every household has to double or triple the production during Tet. Each batch is sold out, even during peak times. Traders have to come and order in advance to take home. Thuan Hung rice paper is transported to local alleys and lanes, even by car to Cambodia. Thuan Hung rice paper has a very unique flavor and cannot be confused with any other place. Thuan Hung rice paper has 4 types: salty rice paper, plain rice paper, spring roll rice paper, and coconut rice paper. Salty cakes are cakes that have more salt, are more flexible and last longer than plain cakes. Plain cakes are crispier. Nem cakes are small cakes. Coconut cakes are cakes mixed with coconut milk and sesame. Each type of cake also has many different sizes. The smallest is more than 3 inches and the largest big cake is nearly 4 inches. Mrs. Hati Sao's rice paper production facility in Tan Phu Hamlet has been making rice paper for nearly 30 years. The whole family of 40 people is proficient in all stages of making cakes. Some pour the flour, some spread the cakes, some dry the cakes, some tie the cakes. All are operated smoothly, without any unnecessary movements. These seemingly simple tasks take a lot of time to master, because they require both meticulousness and love for the job. Thuan Hung traditional rice paper craft village with more than 500 rice paper kilns, for more than 200 years, has been on fire day and night but still cannot supply enough cakes to the market. Having the opportunity to travel to Kintho, visiting Thuan Hung rice paper village, in addition to being impressed by the skillful and agile cake-making process of the workers. Enjoying delicious rice paper, visitors also have the opportunity to learn more about the people in this craft village, and admire the honest people who love their profession as a part of their breath, and thanks to them, their love has made the traditional professions always survive over time. Thuan Hung Rice Paper Village, Kindho is a traditional craft village of Taedu land. Not only does it have many famous tourist attractions such as Taedu Night Market, Nin Kiu War for Hwa Sung Ecological Garden, but Kindho also has many traditional craft villages. Thuan Hung Rice Paper Village is one of them. Thuan Hung rice paper is an indispensable specialty when traveling to Kindho. Few people know that Thuan Hung Rice Paper Village, Kindho, was formed a long time ago and is famous for its soft, fragrant, and smooth rice paper. Although it has existed for more than 200 years with more than 500 baking ovens, this traditional cake village still works day and night to make rice paper to supply the market. There are many different types of rice paper here, and each type has its own flavor. Thuan Hung people also have their own secret in mixing the flour, so the rice paper here is not tough or crumbly but still retains the strong aroma of rice. Mia.vn is confident that when you come to Thuan Hung Kindho Rice Paper Village, you will have the opportunity to enjoy delicious cakes. Learn and explore how to make cakes as well as admire the kindness of the people of the coconut land. Don't miss this attraction in your travel guide. Thuan Hung Kindho Rice Paper Village is a very famous traditional craft village in Kindho. Just mentioning the name of this craft village, perhaps everyone knows. The unique types of rice paper are meticulously, skillfully, and extremely elaborately made by artisans. To make delicious rice paper made by Thuan Hung Kindho Rice Paper Village, the maker must choose newly harvested rice so that the cake is not tough or crumbly and can be stored for a long time. The rice will be soaked in water and then ground into flour, filtering out the sour water. Then continue to mix the rice with enough water. Add salt to make the cake more flavorful. Next is the extremely meticulous and elaborate process of making the cake. This step requires the rice paper to be spread over a low heat, spread quickly and evenly so that the rice paper does not break. After spreading, the rice paper must be dried in the sun to harden into the finished product. When mentioning the typical products of Thuan Hung Rice Paper Village, Kindho, people will immediately remember salty rice paper, sticky rice paper, coconut rice paper, and spring roll. Sticky rice paper is the type of rice paper to be dipped in water and rolled with fish, vegetables, and dipped in sweet and sour fish sauce. Salty rice paper is a rice paper with more salt, is chewy, and can be preserved longer than sticky rice paper. Coconut rice paper is a rice paper mixed with coconut milk and sesame. Spring roll is a small-sized rice paper. The craft of making rice paper in Thuan Hung is a traditional craft, formed in the mid-19th century and passed down through many generations. Through the ups and downs of existence and development, the craft of making rice paper in Thuan Hung still retains its traditional values of profound culture, crystallized from the achievements of labor and creativity of the people here, bringing to the market many rice paper products with the typical flavor of the land of Thuan Hung. On March 6, 2023, the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism signed Decision No. 478, QDB-VHTTDL, announcing the inclusion of the traditional craft of making rice paper in Thuan Hung Ward, Thought Not District, Kendo City in the list of National Intangible Cultural Heritage. This is a joy for the people doing the craft and for the locality, and at the same time, this is also an important basis for the locality to research and propose orientations for measures to preserve and promote the traditional craft. Promote and introduce products of the craft village to attract tourists to visit the craft village, thereby promoting local economic development, creating stable jobs, increasing income for local workers and bringing the flavor of Thuan Hung rice paper far and wide. Currently, the ward has 4 quarters areas of the ward with people making rice paper, most concentrated in Tan and Tan Phu areas. There are 58 households producing by traditional manual methods continuously with about 250 practitioners. In addition, there are about 30 traditional kilns waiting until Tet to produce. Of these, 03 households have invested in machine-based rice paper production, including 1 automatic rice paper kiln that both coats and dries the rice paper. Currently, 2 Thuan Hung rice paper products have met the 3-star OCOP standard. The local government has directed agencies, departments, and unions to raise awareness, gradually maintain and preserve the craft village. Specifically, supporting villagers to borrow capital for production with an amount of 600 million Vietnamese dongs. guiding households to participate in the One Commune One Product program and be recognized as 3-star OCOP products, linking tourism development, sightseeing, and cake-making experiences in the craft village, completing product packaging and registering intellectual property trademarks for O1 household. At the same time, coordinate with the Department of Science and Technology of the city to carry out the scientific task of building, managing and developing the Thuan Hung rice paper brand, estimated budget of 800 million Vietnamese dongs. Representative of the households working in the profession, Ms. Nguyen T. Ton Gun, Tan Phu Area. Thuan Hung Ward, Thot Nhat District, shared. We hope that Thuan Hung rice paper will always have a stable market, so that the rice paper making profession here is still maintained and developed, creating livelihoods for the people, contributing to the development of the local economy in general and the preservation of traditional crafts in particular. Thot Nhat district authorities do a better job of managing, preserving and promoting these national intangible cultural heritages and relics. Always pay attention to creating favorable conditions for people to develop production and business, support people to build and promote brands and products to consumers near and far. Let's join hands, further enhance our role, with love for our homeland, with our existing capacity to preserve and promote the traditional craft of rice paper making. Worthy of being a traditional craft with a history of formation and development of more than 100 years. At the same time, well implement the development goal of Thot Nhat district, in which we focus on the field of promoting tourism associated with promoting relics and cultural heritage, creating more heritage tourism products with the characteristics of the city,